Most people think discipline means making the right decision over and over again. Should I work out today? Should I get up when the alarm rings? Should I eat the right thing? Should I work on the project? Should I practice? Should I keep going? But there is a problem with this approach. Every decision gives you another opportunity to quit. Miyamoto Musashi understood a different way of living. A disciplined life is not built by constantly deciding what to do. It is built by deciding once and then removing the decision. Musashi spent much of his life devoted to mastery. He fought dozens of duels. He studied strategy. He practiced swordsmanship. He observed craftsmen, soldiers, artists, and opponents. And later in life, he tried to reduce what he had learned into principles. One of the most interesting things about Musashi's philosophy is how little room it leaves for unnecessary hesitation. In the Book of Five Rings, Musashi repeatedly emphasizes practice. Not merely understanding something, not thinking about doing it. Practice, repetition, training until the correct movement becomes natural. That distinction matters, because hesitation is expensive. Imagine two swordsmen facing each other. One has practiced the same movement thousands of times. The other understands the movement intellectually, but still has to think through every step. When the moment comes, who has the advantage? The person who must decide, or the person who already knows what he does? This principle extends far beyond swordsmanship. Most of us make far too many decisions about things we claim are important to us. You say you want to exercise, but every morning you ask yourself whether you feel like exercising. You say you want to save money, but every purchase becomes another negotiation. You say you want to read, but every evening you decide between reading and scrolling through your phone. You say you want to wake up early, but when the alarm rings, the debate begins. And eventually, you lose one of those debates, then another, then another. The problem isn't necessarily that you lack discipline. The problem may be that you keep putting your discipline up for a vote. Consider what happens when something becomes truly non-negotiable. You probably don't wake up every morning and debate whether you should brush your teeth. You simply do it. There is almost no mental resistance because there is almost no decision. The action has become part of the structure of your life. That is where discipline begins to feel effortless. Not because the action itself becomes easy, but because the argument disappears. Musashi trained until action and intention moved closer together. That is something worth copying. If you want to become more disciplined, identify the decisions you repeatedly make that should no longer be decisions. Start with something small. Maybe you exercise every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Those mornings are no longer mornings when you decide whether to exercise. They are training days. Maybe you want to write. Instead of asking when you can find time, you write for 30 minutes immediately after breakfast. Breakfast becomes the trigger. Writing becomes the response. Maybe you want to read more. Your phone stays outside the bedroom, and you read 10 pages before sleeping. No negotiation, no daily strategy meeting with yourself. The important decision was already made. This is powerful because willpower is unreliable. Your mood changes, your energy changes, your circumstances change. Some mornings you will feel motivated, others you won't. If your behavior depends on motivation, your behavior will constantly change with your emotions. But a rule survives moods. Musashi lived in a world where hesitation could carry consequences far greater than skipping a workout. His answer was relentless preparation. Practice until the response becomes part of you. Modern life rarely demands that kind of immediate physical response. But the principle still works. You can train yourself to begin. You can train yourself to continue. You can train yourself to act without asking permission from your feelings. And eventually something interesting happens. The disciplined action starts becoming the easier path. Think about someone who has exercised every morning for 10 years. Skipping the workout may actually feel stranger than completing it. Think about someone who has saved part of every paycheck for 20 years. Saving isn't a heroic act of self-control anymore. It's simply what happens when money arrives. This is the deeper goal. You don't want to spend your entire life forcing yourself to make good decisions. You want good decisions to become your default behavior. That requires designing your life differently. Reduce your options. Create rules. Build routines. Attach important behaviors to specific times and places. Prepare things in advance. Make the desired action easier to begin. And most importantly, stop reopening decisions you have already made. If you decided that tomorrow morning is a training day, don't renegotiate with yourself tomorrow morning. If you decided to save 10% of your income, don't reconsider the decision every payday. If you decided to spend 30 minutes working towards something important each evening, don't ask yourself whether tonight is a good night. Begin. This doesn't mean becoming rigid about everything. Musashi valued adaptability. Strategy requires responding to changing circumstances, but adaptability and indecision are not the same thing. You should reconsider a strategy when circumstances genuinely change. You should not reconsider it simply because the work became uncomfortable. That distinction can change your life. Ask yourself one question. What important decision am I unnecessarily making every day? Maybe it's whether you exercise, whether you study, whether you practice, whether you save, whether you get out of bed, whether you work on the thing you keep saying matters to you. Make the decision once. Then build your life around that decision. Because discipline isn't winning 1,000 arguments with yourself. The strongest form of discipline is eliminating the argument entirely. Musashi spent a lifetime practicing until thought became action. You can apply the same principle. Decide what matters. Create the rule. Practice the behavior. Then stop deciding.